Well, the 2018 edition of the National Secondary School Entrepreneurship Competition will be launched quite soon. This initiative seeks to stimulate the entrepreneurial spirit within young students, and it was first launched last year. The competition is the brainchild of the Stone Brothers Limited, and joining us on set to tell us all about this year's competition are the directors, Dr. Christian Stone and Sophia Stone. Welcome.
Thank you, Thank you.
We're very, very excited to find out about this competition. I know it's very young. It is your brainchild, I understand. So my first question, what is this competition all about, Dr. Stone?
Okay, so what the competition is basically a gamification of an entrepreneurship simulation. So we have different schools across the country. All the high schools are actually invited to join, and they all form teams of 5 students per team, and they compete within their division. Basically, we like to call it a intercall-like competition, where teams are basically moving up and down the rankings based on their entrepreneurship decisions week to week.
Wonderful. So it's a marketplace simulation game type situation, yeah?
Yes.
How popular is it, Mrs. Stone?
I think it's gaining in popularity quite a bit. Obviously, last year was the first year that we did it, and so people were not very familiar with it. But after having some exposure to it and playing the game, the students really took to it, and it became an exciting thing that they really look forward to.
Okay, so a lot of kids will be looking on, a lot of parents, a lot of teachers, and they probably did not get too familiar with it. So let's get into the details, the design and structure. How long does the game take to play, the levels and that sort of thing?
Okay, so the way we have structured the game is basically over the course of 6 weeks. So there are 6 decision-making periods that teams go through. So each school has basically 1 week to make all of their decisions, and they would input them at the end of the week, at which point the game is simulated. So, yeah.
It's a bit tricky to conceptualize what this actually is. Think of it as almost a game online where the students or the participants are in charge of a business, a simulated business, and they get to make all the decisions, financial decisions, marketing decisions, strategic decisions. It's very dynamic.
Wonderful. So it's 5 members per school.
Yeah.
And I guess responsibilities will be so you'll have a marketing person, a strategy person, and that sort of thing.
So big in the game is the functional areas of the game. So, having a finance team, almost accounting, marketing, human resources, marketing and marketing research. So each member of the team kind of takes a different division. Though I tell them they're allowed to divide their team just like a normal business would in any way they see fit. And they would make the decisions and basically come together at the end and submit them to be simulated.
So would this target only business students? I mean, if I'm a science student, no?
No.
So it's open to anybody?
Yeah, and what we found last year is some of the students who gained the most from the experience were students who were not business students.
Really?
And who started to look at entrepreneurship and business as something that was feasible for them.
It's a practical sort of exposure.
It's very practical. It's very hands-on. It's different than sitting in a lecture and learning about business skills. You're in charge of it, so you get excited. Every decision has some kind of meaning to you because you played a part in making it. So I think it's very different than normal business.
Wow.
So if I could also add to, I think in terms of, we encourage science students and people who are outside the business field, because to me at least, every career has an element of entrepreneurship. So, whether it's a doctor or a lawyer or a dentist, they start their own practice. And even, people who might even gravitate towards the public sector, they're going to have to engage in some type of go-getting, some type of go out there and you can make something happen. And, these kind of decisions and the things that they learn in this game really does help them, feed into those kind of decisions that they're going to make later on.
That's a great point, because you would initially think, okay, so I'm a business student, so this is for me, but any area that you choose and you'd like to open a business someday, this is what you should be doing.
Absolutely.
Our students taught the game before the competition.
Students are not necessarily taught the game. So as somebody who was trained in law and then became an entrepreneur myself, I learned firsthand that there's a lot of things you can't prepare for and you have to learn on your own. So what we kind of wanted for NSEC was for students to be able to learn and to kind of really get that very real world entrepreneurial experience. So we do put in place some measures so that they are set up for success. We do have a teacher training program session where we take the teachers who are in charge of the teams and we run through with them some of the important things that they should know so that they can help guide their students. But the students are kind of thrown into and they learn as they go. But there are modules and lectures throughout the game. So it's not just that they go and they don't know what they're doing. They do know there are resources, but we don't prep them or train them. We just kind of throw them into the simulation and they've had an exceptional experience. The feedback has been great.
So teachers are given some sort of training before?
The teachers are given training so that teachers, if they have any questions, the teachers are best able to guide them throughout.
How long is the teacher training aspect of it? Is it a one-day thing?
Yeah.
It's a one-day
It's
session.
a one-day.
Just one day. I mean, as Sophia was saying, you know, we really like to have the students, we like it to be as practical and as real life as possible. So, you know, when it is, I always tell my students, when you do go out into the world to do entrepreneurship, there's no rule book and there's no handbook and there's no guidebook. So to have a similar experience through the simulation is really what we would like them to do is like, you know, here are the conditions that the marketplace exists under. You can find out more if it is you desire. If not, it's up to you. And, you know, by going out and actually being an active participant in it, you're actually going to be able to succeed a little bit more than other teams that don't.
So you have 6 weeks. At the end of each week, you're going to enter your decisions and click submit. But each week it'll guide you. You have guidelines. So it's structured in such a way that you just read and you figure out what you do. So it's not very difficult. But how challenging or intense have students said it's been so far?
I mean, I would say it's pretty intense. So, I mean, last year we had, you know, according to the records, we had over 4,000 hours of gameplay. So, I mean, that's the amount of time that students actually engage with the simulation. And, you know, something else I do normally tell them is that this game is primarily geared towards final year university students or MBA students or PhD students. So to have it come down to the Form 4s, Form 5s, Form 6 level, you know, it's a very different. But that being said, you know, I think last year we had a statistic which was, I think it was 13 or 18.
I think it was
Maybe between 13 and 18% of the teams who participated last year performed in the top 25% of all the teams that participated worldwide ever.
Whoa.
So I mean,
that's PhDs,
yeah.
MBAs, that's amazing.
So I mean, the high school students really show that, you know, they have the drive, they have the determination, and they can perform on a level which is, you know, exceeds PhD students at times. So I mean, it was pretty impressive to be honest.
And embarrassing for students. It was redesigned, I'm thinking, to suit to their level, right?
Well, there are different levels. So I mean, they play one that's over the course of 6 weeks. But that being said, you know, I'm currently teaching the exact same one with a university MBA class right now. So it is intense. I mean, a lot of times the students get out of it what they put in. So I mean, the competition really is what dictates the game to a big extent. So how the other teams make their own decisions is going to be a large part of how difficult it is. But no, I mean, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's intense, and you know, some students spend, you know, 5-10 hours per week, you know, within their team who spent more hours making decisions and trying to get to the best answer.
So let's talk a little bit about the rounds of competition. So it's not where students or schools are eliminated during early quarters. You are allowed, once you begin, you go through the entire 6-week period. So there are some weeks you may do well, and then certain weeks you may not do too well, but it doesn't mean that that's the end for you, because there are instances where you can pick up later on in the game, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So the best thing about the game is that it's not, every week is a chance to improve, is a chance to change your fate, I guess. And so you are through the whole competition. You wouldn't be eliminated or anything like that. And it is dynamic. It is based on how the other teams perform. So they learn a lot throughout the whole competition, from the beginning to the end. They learn so much in how their decisions affect the overall business, how other people's decisions affect their business. And it's really, it's a phenomenal experience.
Wonderful. What are some of the prizes? Big question. What are some of the prizes for successful students or schools?
Well, this year, you know, to be honest, we're still in sort of negotiations. I can't tell you about what we did last year.
Sure.
So we were lucky enough to have the Lockjack GSB actually give 5 full scholarships to the winning team. So they're going to be launching their undergraduate program this year.
Yes.
So the winning team last year, all 5 participants actually got a full scholarship for 4 years to attend the Lockjack GSB. Second place actually got, I think, 50%, and third was 30%. So we got partial scholarships for everybody. We also, of course, had trophies and medals, and every student was given a certificate of participation. I think we also had some restaurants who did vouchers and chocolates,
some
and so many
prizes that were exciting.
quite a few prizes actually that we'll be able to give out.
Those are some great prizes. Let's talk a little bit about submissions, and can these submissions be made at home where family members can help, or where teachers can probably chip in and make decisions?
Yeah, the answer to that is yes. And you know, it's interesting that you should ask it, because I don't have an issue with that. And the reason is because the game is so much about a competitive element, and based on what other teams are going to do, that it's practically impossible for you to be able to cheat. So, I mean, the students
Right.
really have to take the information, they have to analyze the information, they have to look at the competitive environment, and they have to make decisions based on that. And, you know, sometimes I tell my students is that there are no right answers. You know, there are only better answers. So there is no way they can go and check, oh, how do I get this correct answer right now? Because it really matters what the other team does. So if I set my price at 100 and you set your price at 90, well, you're going to have better decisions, you know, you're going to have better response to your product at least. So it's very difficult for, you know, parents or even teachers who haven't been studying the dynamics of the game to contribute in a meaningful way.
Wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about what students would be walking away with following this experience. I know it's a lot of teamwork involved here.
A lot of teamwork. So that was when we were talking to participants from last year, some of the feedback we got was that they really enjoyed that element of it, of working in a team, but also understanding their own individual roles within the team. I think overall they just learn a better understanding of what it takes to run a business, strategic skills, decision-making skills, just general business skills that they might not have come into contact with in the classroom.
Yes, or learned via lecture.
Yeah, what I can add to that as well is, you know, confidence. And like, you know, what I've seen so many times with people playing this game is that they don't believe they have the skills before to open a business, but at the end of it, they're very confident that I can do this. Like, not only can I do it, I have done it to an extent. And so they take those skills into the future or take them forward and say, you know what, I can actually make something of myself within the entrepreneurship community.
Would you also say it teaches them to make calculated risks?
Yes, I think what we saw last year is that it helped the students think in a more holistic way about their decision making. So there might be some decisions in the game, like what would you like to name your company, or how much money would you like to put behind marketing, where they might be, you know, in the past they might have made snap decisions or decisions without thinking longer term. You would find at the end they had an overall appreciation for how everything is connected and how everything affects everything down the road. So I think it did teach them a little bit of the importance of foresight, and yeah, just a general appreciation for the excitement of entrepreneurship.
So let's get into the history or the early stages of this. What made you decide to introduce something like this to the school system?
Well, I mean, because it needs it, you know, because we really do need these kind of initiatives in Trinidad, you know, and I tell the story a lot where it is when I first came into business, you know, my brother and I started pretty young to open more vino, and we were just like 22 and 23, and we lost a lot of money initially, right? So we really wanted to be like, you know what, if we had some sort of tools, if we had some sort of training that would have prepared us a little bit better in the early stages, well, that'd be great. And, you know, while I was doing my PhD, I was teaching it in Canada, and a lot of the reviews that I would get from the students, the course evaluations were like, this is the best course ever. And I'd really like to say, oh, I'm the best teacher ever, right? But if the facts were that, you know, it's really guided by the simulation. And they were having such an awesome experience using it. I was like, you know, if we don't have these tools within Trinidad and we just let them, you know, exist in the first world, then we'll never get to that stage either. So, you know, I was really motivated by the fact that I would like Trinidad to push forward. I mean, I love the entrepreneurship ecosystem down there, and I really wanted to grow. And I thought that, you know, starting the students at this age and getting them into the ecosystem, making them believe that they can actually contribute towards it would have been a great idea to do.
So you're looking at 15, 16-year-olds and that sort of thing. You thought it was crucial that at that age they be introduced to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that, you know, a lot of them come out of high school and they're ready for the world of work. Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to be, some of them are going to be starting immediately after high school. So, I mean, yeah, I think at that age is going to be beneficial. And even if it is, they do move on to some university education, well, maybe they'll be thinking about this as a field because they already have the experience and, you know, the understanding of entrepreneurship coming into it.
How did you introduce it to the secondary school system?
So there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to actually get this level or this size of initiative in the school system up and running. So we had to we worked with the ministry, and the ministry supported us in this initiative because
Great to hear,
yeah, they saw the benefits of something this innovative and practical in the school system. We had to call all the schools individually many times and speak with the administration just to get their permission to explain to them what the competition was about, to have them put forward the list of students that they would like to put as their team. So there was a lot of back and forth, but now we've made things a little bit easier where any interested school or person who would like to find out more can go on our website and find out.
Great. What is our website?
nsectt.com. So that's nssectt.com.
Great. So Big question. What are your plans for the 2018 edition? Will it be in any way different from the first year? Are there changes?
There are not a lot of changes in terms of the gameplay that's going to be happening. I think next year we're probably going to make a big change in terms of the simulation we use. But this year basically is going to be twice as big. I mean, last year we had 64 schools and we had over 300 students. I mean, this year we're going for 128 schools, and you know, we're hoping between over 700 students and teachers, you know, who are going to be participating. So the scale of it is going to be a lot bigger. They're going to be, I think, 16 divisions with 8 teams in each division. So there's going to be a winner in each division, and of course prizes for each school who do win. There's going to be overall winners again. So it's going to be a lot bigger and better. You know, actually this year last year we had it at the Central Bank Auditorium, the opening and closing, but this year that's too small. So we're going to Napa this year for the opening and closing ceremony, and of course all students are welcome. You know, we have refreshments and food for them. It's all free of charge.
Yeah, I know.
And what is there a cost for registration?
Oh, it's absolutely
it's
free.
Absolutely free. Wow. So
thanks to our
free,
sponsors, yes.
And then you have refreshments. Wow, it's a lot. How important is an initiative like this for our country at this time? I know you touched on it a little bit, but we just recently had the mid-year budget review. A lot of people said a lot of attention wasn't placed in the non-energy sector.
Yeah, you know, I went to a conference recently and they said, you know, oil and gas sector employs about 3% of the people. And I think micro and small enterprise employs are close to 30. So, I mean, when you really think about the scale of lives that are affected within this sector, I mean, a lot of people are going to be turning towards this sector or do turn towards this sector for their livelihood. So, you know, what it is we try to do is not teach people how to open a specific type of business, but what I really want them to do is learn how to commercialize any type of business. So whatever idea they have, they can say, okay, how do I make this sustainable? How do I make it profitable? And how do I benefit from this for my entire life? So, you know, given the current state, obviously, of the energy sector, which has been great to us, but which I think we would be, you know, not smart to think that it can continue forever. It really is important that we start to diversify and look towards entrepreneurship. I think can be, you know, the primary tool that we can look to really start to expand and spread our wings.
You know, you being a very young business person, do you think everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. I mean, I want to say yes. I mean, everyone can do it. I don't think everyone wants to do it, and I think that's really the difference. You know, I don't believe in the whole born entrepreneur kind of deal. I really believe in the I desire to be an entrepreneur. So if it is you do have the desire, you can absolutely do it. If you don't have the desire, well, it's obviously something that it takes a lot of heart. So if you don't have that desire, yeah, it's going to be difficult for you to succeed because there are going to be people you're competing against who do have that heart. So I would say anybody can do it, but I would say the one requirement is that you actually have a desire to do it.
Mrs. Stone, do you think that you need to have a certain personality in order to be a better business? Like you need to be able to, you know, take risks?
I'm not even sure if it's really as much about risk-taking as it is about tenacity and grit and being able to stand strong in the face of many small and large defeats. I personally was not a born entrepreneur. I went to law school, so very much in the professional realm of things. And now I'm an entrepreneur and I have my own small business. And I can honestly say that I would have never expected myself to end up in that position, but that I enjoy it. And a lot of it had to do more with, as he was saying, just wanting to do it for myself and seeing that, okay, I have a talent in one area and how can I commercialize that? How can I make that my entire life? And I have, and it's been a really incredible experience to see how you can take a skill that you have and it can actually be your career path. And I think in Trinidad and Tobago, there's so much talent here in the creative arts, in manufacturing, in the natural resources here, that there's so many opportunities for Trinidadians and Tobagonians to look inwards and say, okay, well, what can I do? What do I have a talent in? How can I make this a business? And as Christian was rightly saying, there is so much of that already going on. So I think equipping the youth with the skills to really be successful in that area is a very beneficial thing to do.
Well, no, she said tenacity. You said you started, your brother and yourself, you would have started Movino at a very early age, early 20s. But how much tenacity would you have had then? And then you have other factors like your family probably saying, look, leave this alone, continue with your studies. How did you deal with that?
I mean, you know what? I kind of like the haters, to be honest. This fuel is like blacks.
You see, that's the thing, because your reaction would be different So is it a personality thing then?
I mean, yes, it is a personality, but you know what? There's so many different types of entrepreneurship that I said, like, it really just comes down to your desire to do it. And, you know, like, I have people who are completely different to me who are infinitely more successful. You know, so it doesn't require my personality type. To me, it just requires that desire and the ability to, you know, make smart decisions to go out there and actually make it happen.
Wonderful. So let's get back to the stimulation. We got carried away a little bit on the entrepreneurship, but I think it's you know, some stuff that people would really be interested in should they get into business, because they simply think that they have a personality for it. Are they good at, you know, taking risks, calculating? Our school's already registered for this year's competition.
Right, so registration is just about opening.
Okay.
So, I mean, last year we sort of were oversubscribed, so it's sort of a first come, first served basis. This year, because we have increased the amount of spots that we have, we're actually going to allow schools to have two participants, two teams each. So last year we had a big issue where a lot of schools like, I have 20 students who want to play, what do I do?
Draw sticks for who is going to be allowed.
Yeah. So, I mean, this year we're going to have, you know, schools be able to have at least 2 teams each. And, you know, it basically is opening right now where schools can kind of sign on, go onto the website and sign up for it.
Wonderful. Closing comments. What would you like to say to those looking on?
Absolutely take part in it. It is an opportunity of a lifetime. We're very grateful to our sponsors who've made this opportunity available for free. So take advantage. I would say go on to the website and send us a message so that we know you're interested. It's www.nsectt.com. That's NSSECTT.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Very exciting game. I wish I could play. So just to remind you, the National Secondary School Entrepreneurship Competition 2018 registration is about to begin. We've been chatting with the directors, Dr. Christian Stone and Mrs. Sophia Stone. While news is up next, stay tuned.